I think it's 7 or 8, 1984, where everything is just over the top 80s slasher. It's phenomenal. It's so how about Heroes? Have you seen Heroes starting Hayden Panettiere?
No, actually.
No, I had never seen Heroes either. No, I was first introduced to Hayden Panettiere this is gonna be bad. Bring It On, All or Nothing.
It was like Bring It On, the original with Eliza Dushku and Kirsten Dunst, and you're like, no, the other one.
Yeah, no, like the third one. Yeah, that is. I'm going through her IMDb history here, and Bring It On, All or Nothing was, I think, the first thing that I had seen her in, which was 2006.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I saw her in anything until I saw her in Scream 4. It was just purely a carnal thing for me.
I know.
Hey.
Bugs Life. I saw her in Bugs Life. She played Dot. Boom.
Okay, fair. I saw that too.
So now we meet Judy Hicks, Deputy Judy, who
Judy.
So yeah, and we finish in Scream 3 that Dewey and Gail had been together. Gail hated Woodsboro. She said it aged like dog years, and that she couldn't stand to be here. So then they got married and she moved here, and now they've been here for, what's it, like 10 years? From like 2001 is when 3 came out, and now we're in 2011 and 4 came out. So she's been in Woodsboro this whole time.
Yep.
And then you have Deputy Judy giving him the come hither eyes. Like,
with the lemon squares.
With the lemon squares.
Yeah, Deputy Judy likes to give lemon squares.
I want lemon squares.
I had read that one of the actresses up for the role was Aubrey Plaza. Would you have believed Aubrey Plaza as dopey Deputy Judy Hicks? Right, and everyone just unequivocally shakes their head like, no.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Aubrey Plaza has dry humor and is kind of, her brand is to be off-putting.
Yes.
And kind of a...
Have you ever seen her on Hot Ones?
No. Okay.
She's a trip on Hot Ones. She is a trip to watch because she pours milk in her eyes. Yeah, she's okay. I will say no more. Just watch her Hot Ones interview.
So I like Deputy Judy Hicks has this air about her of being like the homespun small town homebody, which I don't see Aubrey Plaza playing that very well. Maybe she could. Maybe she has the range, not to count her out.
Yeah. I really like that scene with Gail where she's working on her book and she just slams in all caps, I have no fucking idea what to write. Because as someone who claims to be a writer, I have fucking written those words many times.
It's incredibly hard because it's like you can think of an idea, but you have to give that idea a backstory, and that's incredibly difficult. Like you have to figure out someone's entire life in 200 pages. Like how do you do that?
A difference between having an idea and realizing an idea.
Yeah. How do we feel about Culkin, the youngest Culkin?
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. Like, hey, have you seen Succession? Which has one of the other Culkin brothers. It's on HBO. It's interpersonal family drama about billionaires who run a fake Fox News. It's a great show.
I have not watched it. I have heard amazing things about it, but I have not watched it.
And then in the first opening, the first fake opening, they talk shit about Saw movies and how like the body horror, gore porn. And so then the guy who plays, not Charlie, the other one, I forget his name at the moment, the short-haired film geek who always is wearing the headset, he was in Saw 2. And so I thought that was another, I think the time travel joke comment is mostly about Wes Craven wanting to do time travel and Freddy Krueger. But at the same time, Saw 3 and 4 have these weird overlapping timelines, which is hard.
Yes, it's really difficult. It's really difficult to watch them, especially because I saw them both in theaters. So it was very hard. Yeah, it was very difficult.
You need to binge them, and you need to like keep a note. Like, okay, this one starts at the 30-minute left mark in the other movie.
You miss so much. We also missed something. So what we did miss, hold on, let me find so they were in the halls of the school and they were at their lockers and everything. We missed a bust of Henry Winkler's head.
Yes. Oh, I wanted to mention that.
Yep. Of Woodsboro High.
I love the statue.
Yeah, that's super cool. And then what is her name?
Alison Brie.
Married to the young Franco. She is the wife of the young Franco brother. Yeah. I don't know his name. I don't really care. Dave. All right. Dave Franco. Yeah. Not a super fan of the Franco brothers, but fun fact about that too. Here's my 6 degrees. Seamus's name at the adoption place was Franco before I brought him home. And I was like, no. And she asked me, she's like, are you going to rename him? I said, oh yeah. She goes, do you have something in mind? I said, Seamus. And she goes, oh, okay. Like, do you want me to write that down right now? I said, yes, you will write that down right now because this boy is not walking out of here with that name of Franco. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's cool to see Alison Brie in here too, because I only know her from Community.
Yeah, I'm like, have you seen Community? Or my first introduction to her was Mad Men. She was married to Pete Campbell's character in the earlier seasons of Mad Men.
I never watched Mad Men. Yeah, never got into that. I think I was still, because when that was coming on, my brother was like in college, and that was very much his show, but that was not, I think I was too young when that show started. And by the time it ended, I could have gotten into it, but I just was like, but I hear amazing things. Like that show is phenomenal from start to finish.
I didn't finish the entire show of Mad Men. I got I think it's 7 seasons and I got maybe up to about 6, but yeah, the parts I remember from the earlier seasons, I felt like I was watching a novel. Like it seemed like so literary. So cool. And its themes. So in Scream 4, there's a few deleted scenes because we just had Gail had a confrontation with Deputy Judy, and then we just had a Gail with a confrontation with the publicist Alison Brie. That in one of the deleted scenes, you saw the actual opening blonde girls who got murdered, and that they are staged like Casey Becker and Steve from the opening of the original. Like the one chick is hung from like a ceiling fan. Did you see this? No. And then there's another scene where they Gail and Dewey say like this is Sydney's first time back to Woodsboro since her father passed. So that's why Neil Prescott's not in this at all. And then in another scene, the publicist asks Sydney, like, I booked you a hotel. Why don't we just stay at the hotel? And she's like, oh, no. I'd rather stay with my family. I want to stay with my aunt. Which makes sense why I'm like, wait, if you have the amount of history you have with this town, why would you stay here? And it's like, oh, because I like the idea that there was a conversation had off screen by these characters at some point to figure out if they want to stay in Woodsboro or not.
I was going to ask, how do you feel about Gail is very confrontational in this, I think more so than in the other movies. And there's a weird cattiness between her and Deputy Judy. And I just like, how do you guys feel about that?
I would say there's a cattiness between Gail and every character that she comes into play other than Sydney. I mean, she had some with Alison Brie, like, you know what I mean? So they do make Gail a bit more aggressive in this, which maybe it's because Gail is, something's happening and Gail's like, holy shit, this is the first action in 10 years. You know what I mean? So she's like, and now she's getting the itch to get back more into like a bigger city or into public eye more. So I don't know, maybe, because I mean, when do we know between here and when her and Dewey got divorced? Like when that happened in canon, not when, because by the time this recorded, Courtney Cox and David Arquette were divorced. Mm-hmm. So there was some tension, but they, like rumors are, reportedly were incredibly professional the entire time.
So you bring up the point of like, I find it hard to talk about Scream 4 without trying to put it in context with Scream 5, because it is a franchise where, we know that they get divorced later on. I feel like I don't mind Gail's cattiness and confrontational nature in this, because I feel like she's a caged lion. That she said in 3 that she hates Woodsboro. It's slowly kills her. And then she just spent 10 years here. She's just like, I'm over it. Hey, look, there's action. I need to be involved. Let me out of my cage.
And then the scene, like, I think just after the first confrontation with Deputy Judy, Dewey is like, Gail, you're not a reporter anymore. And she gets up in arms about that. And I wonder if it's supposed to be Dewey protecting her and trying to keep her out of the action to keep her safe. Or if it's just like, you're not involved anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder which the intent.
You don't have freedom of press here. I'm not going to talk to you. Right. You're just a civilian now.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a little. I feel like it could be a little bit of both. It's like he's annoyed that his wife, who is supposedly not a reporter anymore, is like, "What are you doing? Like, I have to do a job." And then he's also like, "I also have to do this job so you don't die. So don't be a reporter and go home. Like, don't." It's like this weird kind of circle thing in my brain of like, you're not a reporter anymore, go home, but also go home because you're not a reporter anymore, so stay safe. Like, this is the only thing that's keeping you safe right now. So I feel like it could be a little bit of column A, column B. You know what I mean?
So we had talked about in Scream 3 that one of the dropped ideas was that Angelina was the accomplice and second killer, that she was going to have this backstory that she was a former classmate at Woodsboro High. And here we see that they reintegrated that later on, that Judy Hicks confronts her in the upstairs foyer hallway and says, "Oh, by the way, we were in class together. You probably just don't remember me." So it's fun to see, like, if you really try to follow the behind the scenes script drama and to see how those ideas get transformed and reiterated later on down on the line, which is why when we're talking about like Scream 5, what could happen, Scream 6, what could happen, I'm like, I want to try to distance myself a little, because who knows what little idea from before that they're going to take and run with later on.
Okay, here's a question. Do you feel that deleted scenes should be considered canon?
Yes. Interesting. I will say no. But go ahead.
I mean, I've already said, like, oh well, in this deleted scene we find out Neil Prescott has passed, and I like that idea. I feel like that was an idea that they wrote and filmed and edited and like produced to be a part of the movie, and so I feel like it makes sense that it is canon. It was just cut for time for a theatrical release, which if you follow any of the right around this time in real life, because not everyone I'm a person who hops around in podcast episodes, so there's potential people will listen to this and it's not the end of March, but the Batman with Robert Pattinson just came out, and then like 2 weeks after the movie came out, they released a deleted scene that was shot and produced and made up and edited and like professional, but it just wasn't in the actual movie. And so that I feel like has a lot of overlap. Like, oh, is the scene between the Batman and the Joker that wasn't in the movie doesn't count? Which in that case, I'm like, oh, but the movie's way better without it in it. That one scene from the Batman. Yeah.
So, and one of the reasons that I'm asking about that is because in this, it's not a spoiler to say that people get stabbed. So Kirby, Hayden Panettiere's character, does get stabbed in the movie.
Stabbed in a Scream movie?
I know. Holy fucking shit, right?
Kirby shocked.
Yes. And her ultimate fate isn't really shown. It's just kind of assumed that she dies. However, I do know that in Scream 5, there is a reference to her character as a survivor of this movie, and there is a deleted scene from this movie where she survives. And then that also leads to some of the deleted scenes from Scream 3 with Angelina as the other killer, because when Wes Craven wrote the in memoriam or whatever for the Blu-ray DVD notes, her character wasn't listed as someone who died.